Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation with a colorful journey into words. Today, we'll explore spelling and the fascinating origins of words. On this first slide, you see the title, A Colorful Journey into Words, and the subtitle, Spelling, Word Origin. Over the next few slides, we'll dive into how words are spelled, where they come from, and what makes each one unique. So let's get started and enjoy this adventure into the world of words. Roots help us spell and define new words easily. When we understand where a word comes from, it becomes much easier to figure out its meaning and how to use it. Many words in English actually come from Greek and Latin, which are two very influential languages in the development of many vocabulary words. English is really a mix of languages, reflecting its history of borrowing words from different cultures. So, when we talk about word origins, we're exploring the roots or the original parts of words that help us understand their true meaning. Recognizing these roots can make learning new words much more intuitive and engaging. This idea ties into our overall theme of understanding language and how it evolves over time. It's all about writing, drawing, or recording, and when we think about that, the word graph comes up a lot. You probably know several words that include graph, right? These words all relate to the idea of recording or representing information visually or in writing. The key point here is that graph means to write, which is really the foundation of many tools and methods we use to communicate ideas. For example, a diagram or a biography both have graph in them, connecting back to that idea of recording or illustrating something. So whenever you hear graph, just remember, it's all about capturing information, whether through writing, drawing, or recording. This concept ties into the overall theme of how we communicate and share knowledge effectively. Let's look at some interesting words that contain the part lead or graph. First, we have graphite, which is what's inside your pencil that helps you write. It's the key material that makes writing possible. Next, we have graphics, which are visual images or designs that you see on surfaces like screens or paper. They help make information more engaging and easier to understand. Then there, biography, a book written about a real person's life. It's like telling their story in detail. Finally, we have autograph, which is when you write your own name, often as a signature. And notice how all these words connect to the root graph, which relates to writing, drawing, or visual representation. Understanding these roots can really help us expand our vocabulary and see how different words are related in meaning. This is a great example of how language evolves and how different words share common parts that give clues about their meaning. So this slide is all about the prefix micro. It's used specifically for things that are tiny or very small. Think about how in science, we often deal with objects that are invisible to the naked eye, like cells, bacteria, or even tiny particles. And that's where this root really comes in handy. It helps us describe and understand those minuscule things that make up the invisible world around us. The word micro itself means small, which is a perfect way to summarize its purpose. So whenever you see micro in a word, just remember it's referring to something very tiny, and it's a common tool scientists use to talk about things we can't see without special equipment. This idea fits perfectly into our overall theme of understanding the building blocks of the world at a microscopic level. Now, let's look at some interesting words that start with micro. First up is microwave. A microwave uses tiny waves of energy to cook food quickly and efficiently. It's a great example of how small things can have a big impact on our daily lives. Next, we have microbe, which refers to a very small living thing, like germs that can cause infections or help us in other ways. These tiny organisms are everywhere and play a huge role in our health and environment. Moving on, there's microchip, which is a tiny computer part that does a lot of important work. Microchips are the brains behind many electronic devices we use every day, from phones to computers. Lastly, we have microscope, a tool that allows us to see things that are too small for our eyes to detect. It's essential in science for studying tiny objects and advancing our understanding of the world. All these words show how the prefix micro relates to small size, but as we've seen, small can have a big influence. So in this slide, we're talking about how we communicate or see things that are far away. When something happens at a long distance, we need special ways to connect or observe. That's where the idea of far comes in, and the prefix tele is used to mean far or distant. For example, when we talk about television or telephone, the tele part indicates that these devices let us communicate or see things from far away, across great distances. It's a really important concept because it helps us understand how technology bridges the gap between places that are separated by a lot of space. So, whenever you hear tele, think of far or distant. It's all about connecting across long distances. Let's take a closer look at some interesting words that start with tele. These words are all about distance and how we connect or see things far away. For example, pictures of far-off places or objects. When you use a telephoto lens, you're able to take close-up photos of someone or something that is really far away. It's like zooming in from a distance. Next, we have the telephone, a device that allows us to talk to someone far away. It's all about bridging the gap over long distances so we can communicate easily. Then there are planets and distant stars. These are objects far away in space, and we use tools like telescopes to look at them. A telescope helps us see distant planets and stars in great detail, almost as if we were right there with them. Finally, we have television, which transmits images and words from far away to our screens. It's another way we connect with places or events that are distant. All these words, telephoto, telephone, telescope, television, share the common idea of reaching across distances, which ties into the overall theme of connecting and seeing beyond our immediate surroundings. Let's take a closer look at how many words we use to build new meanings. On this slide, we see the word microscope. It's made up of scope and micro. Scope suggests looking or viewing, and micro means small. Together, a microscope helps us see tiny things we can't see with our eyes alone. Next, consider television. It combines vision and tele. Vision is about seeing, and tele means far away, so a television is about seeing things from a distance. Then we have photograph, which joins photo and graph. Photo relates to light or taking pictures, while graph is about writing or drawing. A photograph is a picture we create using light. This slide really emphasizes how we can build words by combining smaller parts, or roots, to understand their meanings better. It's a fun way to see how language works and how words can be broken down into meaningful pieces. Remember, when you see new words, try to see if you can spot these parts. It helps make learning new vocabulary easier and more engaging. Let's keep building words and exploring their secrets. When we talk about things looking or being almost the same, we're referring to the idea of similarity. It's about recognizing how two things can be very alike, even if they're not exactly identical. This concept is important because it helps us understand comparisons and distinctions in our experiences. Next, we have the word similar, which is used to describe things that share common features or qualities. When you notice that two ideas or objects are similar, it means they have something in common that makes them comparable. Moving on, knowledge gained from doing things is all about experience. Experience isn't just about knowing facts, it's about learning through action and practice. This kind of knowledge often sticks with us because we've learned firsthand what works and what doesn't. When we say to a great extent or very much, we're emphasizing the degree or amount of something. It's a way of saying that something is true or applies significantly, not just a little. Then we have the word especially. This helps us highlight something that's particularly important or relevant in a given context. It draws attention to what matters most in a specific situation. Similarly, in fact or really is used to reinforce a point or clarify that what we're saying is true. It adds emphasis and helps make our argument or explanation stronger. Finally, the word actually is a high-frequency word used in everyday language. It's often employed to correct misunderstandings, emphasize reality, or clarify what's true in a situation. All these words and concepts tie back to our overall theme of understanding how we perceive similarities, gain knowledge, and communicate emphasis effectively. They're essential tools in both language and learning, helping us express ourselves clearly and accurately. All right, let's have some fun with this. First up, what does tele mean? Well, tele means far or distant. Think of it like teleporting or something happening over a long distance. It's a word root you'll see in lots of tech-related terms. Next, what does micro mean? Micro means small. So anything with micro in it refers to something tiny or very small in size. And then, what about graph? Graph means to write or draw. It's the part of words related to writing, drawing, or representing data visually. Now, I want to turn this into a quick quiz, so get ready. This is your interactive quiz time. Think about these roots and what they mean, and see if you can connect them to words you already know. This is a great way to reinforce how these roots help us understand new words easily. Ready? Let's go. Great job today. You've done an amazing job exploring how dictionaries can be a helpful tool in understanding words. Remember, by continuing to look into Greek and Latin roots, you'll unlock even more clues about the meaning of words. Knowing where words come from really makes spelling easier because you're understanding the building blocks behind them. Think of yourself as a word detective. Every time you discover a root or a prefix, you're solving a little mystery. Keep exploring, stay curious, and you'll become even more confident with words. Thanks for your hard work today.